Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling a critical yet honestly often misunderstood component of your home's plumbing: power vent versus standard vent gas water heaters. Look, whether you're planning a big renovation, dealing with a sudden breakdown, or you just really want to understand how your house breathes, getting a grip on the mechanics behind these two systems is absolutely vital for your safety and comfort. Let's dive in. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Why venting matters. 2. Standard vent systems explained. 3. Power vent systems explained. 4. Comparing key differences. And 5. Making the right choice. All right, Section 1. Why venting matters. Safely removing combustion products. Okay, so whenever gas combustion happens, the actual process warming up the water for your morning shower, it creates exhaust. And we're not just talking about hot air here. These are combustion products that absolutely must be pushed out of your house. Pick the wrong venting system or just ignore how it interacts with the rest of your home, and you're looking at terrible performance or, way worse, hazardous gases just building up inside your living space. The stakes are incredibly high. As our source material points out, safety is the non-negotiable factor. A botched installation, the wrong materials, or improper sizing directly leads to severe risks. Have you ever heard of backdrafting? It's a terrifying scenario where lethal exhaust gases actually get sucked right back into your home instead of flowing safely outside. No thank you. Moving right along to Section 2, Standard Vent Systems Explained, the Natural Draft Method. So standard units are beautifully simple. They essentially work just like a traditional chimney. Since warm air naturally wants to rise, the heat from the burner simply pushes that hot exhaust right up a vertical flue. It's totally passive, just physics doing its thing with temperature and pressure differences. There are literally zero moving parts helping the air along. But because it relies 100% on that natural thermal rise, a standard vent demands a very rigid set of architectural conditions. You absolutely must have a proper, consistent vertical path. If the root is too long, if it's got weird bends, or if your roofline gets hammered by strong wind downdrafts, well, the unit is going to really struggle to safely push those gases out. Now, here's a fascinating detail you've really got to keep in mind. Because these standard systems rely entirely on natural air pressure, they can get disrupted super easily. Think about the other appliances running in your house, like a clothes dryer or a heavy-duty whole-house ventilation fan. Those are pushing air outside too, which can actually create a mini vacuum effect indoors. That competing airflow can literally overpower the natural draft of your water heater, drawing exhaust right back into the room. Okay, Section 3. Power Vent Systems Explained, the Fan-Powered Method. All right, so if a standard vent is all about passive physics, the power vent is the active heavy hitter. This setup incorporates a powered blower, which is essentially just a motorized fan that mechanically forces those combustion gases out through the venting system. It generates its own pressure, guaranteeing the exhaust exits the building, completely ignoring those minor indoor air pressure changes we just talked about. Because that fan is doing all the heavy lifting, you gain incredible architectural flexibility. This is exactly why they are so hugely popular for retrofits. Say you're finishing a basement, right? Or you need to cram the heater into a tight space where running a vertical chimney straight for the roof just isn't possible, or it's way too expensive. A power vent can actually be routed horizontally straight through a sidewall. It totally solves those nightmare layout issues that would instantly disqualify a standard unit. Time for the main event, Section 4, Comparing Key Differences, the head-to-head showdown. Let's look at vent routing first, because honestly, this is often the deciding factor. Standard units are incredibly rigid. They demand a strong, completely straightforward vertical draft. Power units, on the flip side, let you use highly flexible, directional paths. Being able to snake that power vent out horizontally gives you so many more options for where the actual water tank can live in your home. But here is another massive difference: operational dependency. Standard units run purely on environmental draft. Power units, however, introduce a completely new vulnerability. They leave you entirely dependent on your home's electricity. Since that blower needs power to run, if a bad storm knocks out the grid, your water heater stops working. Yep, you lose your hot showers right along with your lights. So while that power vent flexibility is fantastic, it absolutely comes with some distinct trade-offs. Noise, for one. You're going to hear a fan motor kick on every single time it heats water, whereas standard vents are practically silent. Maintenance is a different beast too. Standard vents usually just need basic periodic checks, but with power vents, you actively have to monitor that motorized fan and manage any condensate building up inside the pipes. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Making the Right Choice, Finding Your Perfect Match. So the ultimate question is, when you're standing down there in your utility room, which one of these contenders should you actually install? Well, as our source material makes crystal clear, the answer is totally tied to your home's unique architecture. There is absolutely no one-size-fits-all answer here. But we can break it down into 3 logical steps. Step 1, take a look at your existing vertical vent path. If you have a reliable straight shot up, a standard unit is usually the simpler, quieter bet. Step 2, check your space. If you're retrofitting into a tight area without roof access, a power vent quickly becomes your best friend. But step 3 is an absolute necessity for either choice. You have to consult a pro. Seriously, getting a licensed plumber or HVAC professional in there is critical because they're looking for complex, unseen factors you and I might just gloss right over. They'll calculate the exact vent lengths allowed by manufacturer codes, evaluate your roof terminations, and gauge the actual risk of environmental downdrafts. Crucially, they'll figure out exactly how your clothes dryers and home ventilation systems are messing with your indoor air pressure to make sure everything combusts safely. Before we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought. Your house is basically a breathing ecosystem. We just talked about how sensitive standard natural drafts are to competing airflow, right? So ask yourself, if a simple bathroom remodel, or maybe just adding a really powerful new kitchen range hood, changes your home's internal air pressure, could your perfectly fine standard water heater suddenly become a hidden backdrafting hazard tomorrow? It really makes you realize just how interconnected our home systems truly are. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking the right questions about the hidden mechanics of your home.